The DX Commander Classic is a multi-band vertical antenna that comes as a kit. It supports a wide range of bands in several different configurations, which are clearly laid out in the user guide. I went with what I consider to be the standard configuration, which includes the 40, 30, 20, 17, 12, and 10 meter bands all as quarter waves, as well as 15 meters as a 3/4 wave off of the 40 meter element. So you actually get 7 bands off of the 6 elements. Additionally, you can exchange the 30 meter band for 80 meters with the aforementioned options. You can build any 3 or 4 bands of your choosing, and lastly, there are also options to get a couple CB bands by altering some of the cuts, and again, the user guide clearly details these instructions if you are interested in the other options. All in all, it's a pretty versatile build, especially for someone like me who is completely new to HF and is happy to get so much range out of just one antenna. The antenna comes on a telescoping fiberglass mast and is CW and RTTY tested at 1500 watts. Everything you need to build the antenna comes packaged with plenty of extra pieces if you manage to mess something up, except for the guy stakes, which I purchased for just a couple bucks at Bass Pro Shops, and of course the feed line, which is also your responsibility. I should mention here that you will have to do a bit of wire cutting, stripping, and soldering, so if you're uncomfortable with accurate measuring and basic electrical skills like that, you might want to enlist the help of someone who is. It's really nothing advanced, but I don't want you to be blindsided by that. So it was freezing cold outside when the package arrived, so I had to wait to build it, but I did unpack everything to inspect it and make sure everything was as it should be. I found it to be very well packaged, and indeed everything that was supposed to be there was. Now, I hate that you have to look at still images here, but I didn't want to be distracted trying to film the build and mess something up by accident, so please bear with me. There will be some video towards the end. Anyway, we set up a couple sawhorses, extended the mast, and secured the sections with tape and reusable zip ties, again all of which were included. We then slid the spreader plates into place and installed the ground plate and driven plate at the bottom of the mast. Callum, the owner of DX Commander, made a great suggestion in his build video for this project to place these little plastic numbers at the bottom of the elements to mark which bands were which, so we went down to Michael's and picked up a pack for a couple bucks. We checked Hobby Lobby first, but ours didn't have numbered ones, only the letters. So here you can see that we were having a bit of a get-together while soldering the fork connectors onto the elements, and there's some beer and chips around and whatnot, but it was pretty easy soldering the connections and applying heat shrink for weatherproofing, and we had a fun time doing it. On the end opposite the fork connectors, you make a little loop for the carabiner to clip to. This is what holds the elements vertically along the mast between the spreader plates, and the loops can be adjusted later for tuning if you need to. Assembling the bungee cord clips was pretty simple, and then all you do is run the elements up the mast through the spreader plates and attach them via the bungee cords to hold them tight in place. At this point, we checked all the connections and seams between the sections of the mast and stood her up and got her in place. Only then did I go cut the radials, which are a necessary part of the antenna. I did them very last so that I could be sure I had enough wire for all of the elements in case I messed something up. Callum has a video and a section in the user guide about the science of the radials, so I won't get into that here, but we went with his preferred option, which is 21 radials, all 3 meters long. After cutting them all, I stripped the ends, twisted them together in bunches of 3, and soldered them to a fork connector as before with the elements. Thus, I had 7 bunches of 3, which all go onto the posts at the bottom of the antenna, and we were done. I checked the SWR and got really good readings except for on a couple of elements where I needed to make an adjustment of around 5 centimeters if I remember correctly. It was really easy to use the spreadsheet calculator Callum provided, and after I made the recommended adjustments I have fantastic SWR on all bands. The amateur radio 10 meter band is quite large, so I went with somewhere in the middle of the band because you will not be able to get all of the bands with this element, but it is up to your discretion whether or not you want to tune low or high in the 10 meter band. This is not only my first HF antenna, but my first experience on HF altogether, so unfortunately I don't have anything to compare it to, but as far as I can tell so far, the thing works perfectly. I've been very happy with the results I've been getting, and the same day I put the thing up, I went inside and made my very first CW contact, which I was thrilled with. So thanks to Callum and his crew for all their hard work, expertise, and fantastic product. I highly recommend this antenna and will likely be doing updates in the future to show how it fares over time in the weather, and if I have to make any changes to it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you out in some way and that you enjoyed watching the build. Cheers.
Yeah, we just finished it, Mike. Boy, I wish it had known. We started 2000 UTC on 28330, and Bob, J7QXG, was net control today. We were expecting out-of-state people to check in, but we didn't really get any, Mike, so boy, it would have been a pleasure to